This woman did you-know-what with 919 men in one single day. Lisa Sparks set this record back in 2004 at the annual World Championships in Poland. She was competing against two other women, one of which was the current record holder who did you-know-what with 759 people in one day. But the craziest part is Lisa set this record in only 12 hours, meaning she only spent 45 seconds with each man. This girl was abandoned by her parents and raised by wild dogs. Oksana Malaya was only 3 years old when she was neglected by her alcoholic parents who left her outside one night. With the night being cold, she crawled to the closest thing that could provide her with warmth and shelter, which was the dog kennel. The next morning, her parents didn't even notice she was missing, so she ended up living in the dog kennel, surviving off of the food scraps the dogs left over. Even though she would see humans from a distance and occasionally crawl on all fours into her house like a stray, humans were no longer her species. Slowly, Oksana became one of the pack, and it wasn't until 5 years later when a neighbor notified the police that a little girl was being raised by wild dogs. By the time she was rescued, she lost all ability to speak and was running on all fours like a dog. Now at the age of 34, she lives in a home for the mentally disabled and is said to have the mental. This man was attacked by a shark, but instead of killing him, it actually ended up saving his life, and you won't believe how. In 2015, Eugene took his girlfriend and his 2 kids to California for a family vacation. As him and his daughter swam off the shores of Huntington Beach, he could sense something was wrong. Instantly, he felt a sharp pain in his back and he was pulled down to the bottom of the ocean. A great white shark had attacked him and wasn't letting him go. But somehow Eugene managed to escape to the surface. He barely made it to shore and was bleeding everywhere. There was a massive gash in his back, but eventually it stopped bleeding. And Eugene didn't really want to ruin his family vacation, so he decided to not go to the hospital and just wait to get it checked out at home. A week later, when they arrived back at home, Eugene finally decided to go to the hospital. But when doctors scanned Eugene's x-rays, they could not believe their eyes. Doctors found a cancerous tumor. This little girl suddenly passed away, but what her mom found in a secret letter will make you cry. 12-year-old Taylor was just like any other girl her age. One day she was doing homework when suddenly she felt a strong pain in her chest. She then collapsed to the floor and her mom called 911. Taylor was then rushed to the hospital in critical condition. The doctors discovered she had severe pneumonia and she slipped into a coma. And a few days later, she sadly passed away. Her mother was devastated, but as she went to go clean her room, she found a secret letter that she had written. The letter was actually a message to herself that she was supposed to open in 2023. She talked about her hopes, dreams, and her relationship with God. Her mother was so inspired by this that she actually wrote This girl's dad offered $128 million to any guy who can marry her. Gigi Chow is the daughter of a Chinese billionaire, and even though she's never had trouble attracting guys, she's a lesbian and her dad doesn't like that. So in an attempt to make his gay daughter straight, he offered $128 million to any guy that can make Gigi find them attractive. Even though 20,000 males from all around the world showed interest, Gigi rejected them all. She told her father that she'll marry a man when he marries a man, and now she's an advocate for the LGBT community. This boy claimed he remembered his past life until his parents discovered he wasn't lying. A Syrian boy named Arius was born with a particular red birthmark across his forehead. As soon as he could speak, he explained to his parents that he had already lived a past life as another man, claiming he was murdered with an axe by his own neighbor. It turns out a man in their village had gone missing years earlier and the neighbor was the prime suspect. So Arius and his parents went to the neighbor's house to find out the truth. When the neighbor opened the door, he turned white as a ghost, claiming he was innocent. But Arius demanded the neighbor to come with them as he knew where his own body was buried. Arius led them miles from the village to a specific spot under a tree and they started digging, but you won't believe what they found underneath. They found a skull that was cracked exactly where Arius's birthmark was. Everyone was shocked and the neighbor was later arrested and sentenced to death.